Welcome to a Profound Sit Down, where we explore the partnerships and people shaping the future of technology and customer experience. I'm your host, Kevin Busza, owner and COO of Profound Technologies. We design and build audiovisual environments for collaboration, from Microsoft Teams and Zoom rooms to enterprise training centers, auditoriums, and hybrid workspaces. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Katie Scott, the founder and CEO of Pontem Tech Partners, a technology company built to bridge the gap between strategy and execution. Unlike traditional consultants who hand over a slide deck and walk away, Pontem is deeply involved from technology selection through deployment, adoption, and optimization, ensuring clients actually achieve the outcomes they envision. Katie is also founder and chair of the Mid-Atlantic CX Forum, a growing community that brings together IT and customer experience leaders under the banner where CX and IT meet. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Well, let's start with your story. How did Pontem Tech Partners come to life?
Thanks, Kevin. Great question. So Pontem was born out of years of watching an ecosystem that was really failing business leaders and users with technology. What my business partner and I had seen after working with nearly every type of partner in the ecosystem was that technology moved a lot faster than the channels for procurement, sourcing, and partnership that existed.
Absolutely.
So what was really happening was we were seeing over and over, and it's actually inclusive in this statistic, 60% of IT decision makers regret their software purchases within the first 12 to 18 months.
Wow, 60%.
60%. It's a Gartner IT Tech Trends data point from 2024. And I don't know why that would be with AI, with Google, with all the resources that they have.
With Pontem.
With Pontem, right? Exactly. But if you really think about it, and you think about the type of partners that exist, there was a gap in the market that we're seeing over and over, and that is the type of technology partner that understands how to identify and support the business piece of the technology procurement. So businesses were evaluating, buying, and implementing the wrong technology, missing revenue goals, churning employees. And we kind of saw it over and over, regardless of, not to call names out, but the big research analysts, value-added resellers, MSPs, legacy telecom network brokers. There was a gap in cloud contact center and customer experience specifically, where it was no longer a binary sale. There's not 1 to 2 decision makers that really are being judged based on supportability and cost. Now there are outcomes that need to be achieved, which requires people and process and understanding their use cases. And so after about 10 years of collectively working with those types of partners, we saw an opportunity in the market to create a new type of partner that's really purpose-built for cloud applications, cloud contact center, and really kind of the technology piece of the stack that touches revenue and customer interactions.
Sure, it makes a lot of sense. And Pontem, in my research, means bridge. Is that right?
It does.
So how did you figure out how to bridge this gap?
It does. So bridge, the term bridge is really sort of at the heart of everything we do. There are 3 main areas that we say that we bridge. The first is we bridge strategy with execution. A lot of times it gets lost in execution, right? What the business executives want out of that from an outcome perspective, and then it becomes time for the team on the ground to really kind of tactically execute, and of no one's fault, they're just things get lost along the way. So we bridge that internally for organizations, especially mid-market and enterprise, where they're very disparate. We bridge the business with technology requirements as well internally, and help with the alignment component, because a lot of times that's really the biggest hurdle in these types of projects. We bridge the business with the market ecosystem. Lastly, we're vendor neutral. We have 450 partners in our portfolio. So we truly are just client side success based. And so we bridge their needs to what's really right for them, not just what's best of breed.
In making those connections, how does Pontem differ from other folks in the space? How are you either going to market, or when you're collaborating with your customer, how's your technology partnership differing?
Yeah, that's a great question. What we see is a lot of the other partners are kind of an inch deep, a mile wide. We are really very focused on customer experience technology and cloud contact center. Really the tech piece that touches revenue, retention, and customer interactions. is where we focus. So that makes us a little bit unique, just because a lot of our competitors or folks in the market like us that can help source technology, they will touch the whole stack. So they really don't know that much about this. And, this can be a very expensive piece of the tech stack if it's not deployed correctly. Also, we have a CX practice that we've designed so that we can meet customers at any part of their life cycle, be it stakeholder requirements gathering, needing to understand if they even have a strategy, how to define their CX strategy as it pertains to technology. Is it change management or sourcing? So really sort of we can meet them anywhere in their life cycle and make sure that we can support them from that vendor neutral, success-based lens that really puts their outcomes at the forefront of success. And I'm happy to say 100% of Pontem clients are happy with their selections.
It's amazing.
Which is exciting.
Well, good work. Well, let's talk a little bit about those Pontem clients. Who are you serving? Give us a little bit about an idea of the organizations that you help partner with.
So generally, we focus on high growth organizations in the middle market where it makes the most sense for them to rely on technology to remain competitive. They don't have, a person for everything. So they'll also rely on external parties and where they look at technology as an investment and not really a cost item to be managed. They can kind of help deduce that ROI.
Okay. And for those listening in our audience, what are some examples of where you're adding the value, particularly with call center and some of the integrations that help drive the business?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple different ways. Right now, we have a large global utilities company that we work with that is headquartered locally, and we're helping them with 4 different initiatives across 6 lines of their business to consolidate and bring all of that into the same evaluation at a global MSA level. They'd historically procured as all different business units, so we are helping their executive C-suite understand what it means and why they need to kind of change the way they procure, all the way down to, from a contact center perspective, getting into the weeds with their CX leaders, their heads of digital, around things like fraud and stuff like that, and helping them really sort of bridge that short-term acute triage need along with how do we plan for what's next from a platform perspective. So that's really bridging those two, kind of the strategic piece with that tactical execution.
One of the things that really stands out about you is your leadership in this Mid-Atlantic CX Forum. So that's where your tagline again is, where CX and IT meet. Can you share what inspires you to start this group and what kinds of conversations is it creating among IT and CX leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kevin. So it's essentially Pontem at scale, but across every industry, we've seen the same exact pattern. Technology drives nearly every single part of the business. Now it is the business. It impacts revenue, yet ownership of customer and employee experience is sort of still fragmented, right? IT is in one lane, customer experience and operations are in another, and the result is often misalignment, poor experiences, poor adoption, and a lot of regretted technology purchases. And we've seen that with every single customer we've ever gotten to work with. And so it got me thinking, how can I serve this same community in a way that we would do if we were to engage with them, drive that alignment, but do so at scale? We're not going to be able to obviously engage with every single one of these people at all the time. But after talking to our clients and asking where do they go, the CIOs will go to CIO groups. The CX leaders will go to CX groups. And that's great. And there's a place for that. But they would be in their vacuum and in their silos still and having conversations where what needs to happen is everyone needs to come together and own that together. CX leaders need to be able to learn to speak that technology language and understand how to share requirements. And IT leaders, we need to help guide them to draw that out. So where that came from is in speaking with a lot of our clients, there was a need. So we created a nonprofit executive-only community where the goal is to not ever have it be a sales event and sales community. It really is a true peer community where they can come and meet peers and learn lessons and gain insights and try to outpace AI in this like insanely rapidly moving technology market right now.
Yeah, right. And good luck with that, right? But,
yeah.
So what are some of the discussions and potential themes that are emerging out of these groups? It is unique, at least in my experience, to see CX and IT pulled together. What are you seeing?
It's a good question. We're seeing a shift and an acknowledgement from IT leaders that they need to go from being kind of reactive owners of customer experience to proactive owners, because technology is the business now. So that obviously aligns what sort of we were talking about earlier with where Pontem came from, which is IT has a new role in the business and they therefore need a different type of partner to support them. The other is, technology is really driving the experience, but there's no clear ownership. So there's a lot of conversations around who owns, is it the business, is it tech? Things like AI, right?
Right.
The business leaders have to own determining how you establish ROI, but they don't know or feel comfortable going to IT and saying, here's what I want from AI, because after years of really feeling like they're not speaking the right language, it's not working, they are now a little disillusioned with the whole thing, and AI is confusing for everyone. So they're bringing them together is more important now than ever, and giving IT leaders the opportunity to hear how CX leaders speak and vice versa, without it being, maybe their own IT leader. They can bring that back. So we're seeing the themes of really people feeling like they're ready to do it differently.
Sure.
And want to invest that time, and think it's really unique, honestly, to bring everyone together. So
Can you give us an example of how, in the case of maybe a specific company, how a CX leader and an IT leader together with Pontem were able to kind of square the circle and figure things out? The CX leader was thinking this, the IT leader was thinking this, you intervened. Because I think, customer experience is huge and is a driving factor for the business, probably the driving factor, sorry, IT. But I'm just curious if you can explain a little bit so people can better conceptualize how that comes together.
Yeah, we oftentimes will come in through IT, and then we will help them understand the benefit to bringing that CX leader in. But I have a couple of different examples. I'm trying to think. One we'll be sharing at the next Forum Summit, where I walk through with one of the CIOs of the Mistress Group. They're global. They're about 5,000 people, publicly traded company. They do non-destructive testing. Really interesting. But he'll be talking about how we as Pontem sort of helped them triangulate with the business, because he was new. He came in as a CIO. They needed to completely change everything. They have 110 locations. And he was able to, with our help, fold in and bring in the new CMO, head of marketing, and make sure that as we help them change their entire collaboration and customer experience suite globally, that she was bought in and that we were making sure that we kind of had what they needed. She had different ideas about certain call flows and things like that. And so we really do end up sort of owning that brokerage internally of making sure that they both end up on the same page. So we'll be sharing that story, but that's one example.
Sure. That's a good example. Yeah. I think, we talked about this at one of your recent forum events, but, customer experience is CX is kind of the sum total of all the customers' experiences with the organization. So it's huge. It comes together as really how the end user feels about the brand. And so I like how Pontem is really driving the importance of CX and making IT leaders think about who else in this organization on the CX front do I bring in? Because if the IT is not supporting, what the brand is doing, then it's basically undermining it, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's been interesting because you'll have CIOs saying, honestly, IT they don't want change because that's just more work for them, right? And I don't think everyone's necessarily that way, but there is generally sort of that viewpoint, like, oh, great, another thing, right, that we're going to have to support. That can be that way. So, but we're seeing in our group a community of IT leaders who don't think of it that way and are really kind of qualifying themselves into having a different lens through which they look at it. But one of the things we're also helping CX leaders with is they have historically not done a great job at quantifying initiatives. So helping them learn to speak in business terms and business use cases and ROI and outcomes, and less squishy, feely, touchy, customers, how the customer sentiment, and really how to sort of make that business case, and together they can collectively take that to the FO. So we're also helping with that.
That's important because I think that's maybe the struggle sometimes is putting the language to it. And once the language is there, it's not that the CX leader doesn't have the intuition, but maybe breaking it down in a business language that translates well for the other stakeholders. I know in our experience at Profound Technologies early on in the industry, development, our devotion to the customer experience, namely the user interface. I'm kind of thinking of my iPhone, but in the early days, over 20 years ago, having a touch controller in a conference room was almost rare, because at that time iPhone was just coming about, and so we challenged ourselves to be leaders in the industry of that user experience. And it has a lot of similarities to how your business is functioning, because even though under the surface of a touch controller that could control a boardroom or an auditorium, even though underneath that is all the IT, the only thing really important to the end user is the interface. And so that has a lot of similarities to customer experience. From the consumer's perspective. It's our customers are really just concerned with their experience when they come to face us. And so when you're making these solutions and you're very keen on the customer experience, that's huge. And that's a real departure from how other IT MSPs and consultants function.
Yeah, I would say that generally consultants just are not in it deep enough to really sort of know how to see it through and make sure they can get through, because there's landmines everywhere, right? So we help customers with you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And the other thing is employee experience drives customer experience a lot. And in our line of business, there is often one is sacrifice for the other. So there will be, an initiative where they make a change to a tech platform, and that maybe reduces the level of effort for the customer, but then the employee has to do 2 times more on their side. So our goal is to always have that holistic view, because we believe, and I mean, there's a lot of data out there that backs this, but customer experience drives revenue and employee experience drives customer experience. And so if you can equip your employees with the right tools, that also in parallel reduces that friction and makes a better experience for customers, that's really kind of the ultimate win. So.
That's good. So how does Pontem differ from a consulting firm? I know that was almost like a curse word when I was preparing today.
Oh my gosh, it is. And we're working on it because, we have people join who just are used to that word. But consulting to me, I mean, that's an expensive slide deck that you can at this point kind of replace with ChatGPT. And where we really differ is we're in the weeds and we stay involved. We are executing with our customers all day, every day across several different platforms. So we're seeing things at a clip that consultants never even touch, because they're all really just sort of strategy. And at this point, people can frankly look up a strategy online and try to tailor it to themselves. It's in the execution is where it actually comes to fruition, and you either realize those outcomes in the ROI or not. And so we really differ because we make sure they see those outcomes versus say, here's what you should do, good luck. And then they're just sort of right back where they are.
Yeah, I agree. It's very similar in our industry. We feel like consultants sometimes are just used for strategy, but it's like to your point, the execution is where it all comes together, and that's the biggest risk, is the execution risk. So in your case, Pontem's not just coming in to talk strategy, but really looking to get you to the end result.
Yeah, and then optimize. We really sort of were that long-term partner, similar to the way that Profound really looks at it, is that customer lifetime value and doing it right the first time. And we've had clients that have been with us for, even though we're a new company, 15 years, companies like First Trust Bank. So to me, that is making sure you do it the right way and stay involved, because if they feel like you're cutting and running, or you told them what to do, but they couldn't really, that doesn't change the fact that they still need to manage their team to operate differently, they're not going to continue to work with us. So we really focus on that long term.
Let's talk about how Pontem helps clients on practical level. So what are some of the core services you offer, and what makes your approach different than a typical technology partner?
Great question. I would say first and foremost, we're completely vendor neutral. A lot of technology partners are value-added resellers, so they are not totally neutral. But we focus on 3 core areas. The first is CX and collaboration strategy. That's really helping organizations design modern service experiences and define the right architecture for that. So things like current state, where are you now? Where do you want to go? And what needs to change from a people, process, and technology perspective to get there? Technology sourcing and enablement would be the second one. That's evaluating, selecting, and supporting platforms like cloud contact centers and collaboration tools from, like I mentioned, a vendor neutral perspective. And then third, and definitely most importantly, change and adoption. which is ensuring that the people, process, and performance layers evolve alongside the technology. Otherwise, you can't just slap some tech on it and expect different outcomes.
That's good. So there's different places where companies will find you. You have fast-paced startups, but that could be of various different stages in their growth, sizes of people, so that you get this impression they're different needs. So how do you tailor your recommendations for organizations based on the different stages of their digital maturity?
It's a great question. Well, you can't start until you know where they are. So we really start with kind of where they are. Some need foundational work, right? Cleaning their data, process mapping, governance, but it really depends on where they need to be based on their vertical. Some are, banks, for example, have a lot of legacy core applications. So are they, while they may not be as digitally modernized, are they still, in the right place, appropriate competitively? So we really kind of jump in and understand where they are, and then understand where they should be as it compares to the outcomes they're looking for, their vision, and then their competitive landscape. From there, we really kind of tailor the people, process, technology piece of it, depending on how aggressive they want to be or not. So an example of that is a private equity-backed insurance company that we work with. They wanted to pick a new cloud contact center platform. They have about 48-month timeline. And within that, we knew that we needed to get them to certain places. So we came in to understand where they are, and then mapped out based on their timeline, their resources, and their kind of key milestones to upstream investors, how they could get there with the tech and help them get there.
Sounds good. So a lot of that has to do with execution. So your plan is hand in hand. So we've spoken about the importance of strategic enablement. So that really is execution. So what does that mean in practical terms when you're putting together your execution plans, or maybe what might be unique or uncommon about Pontem's approach to execution?
It's a good question. So oftentimes, like right now, we're helping a large organization with change management, communications. Sometimes it'll be helping them understand a different reporting or human capital structure from an organizational perspective. If they want to centralize their inbound sales call center, they might need to staff differently and do it regionally versus, at each location, for example. It also might be designing training programs for them or helping with their learning and development. So those are kind of unique to us, making sure that there is nothing that needs to happen for this to happen successfully that they can't that those are gaps for them. So we'll plug all those gaps and mitigate that risk by helping them there. Another might be kind of success metrics, leadership dashboards, things like that, and helping them kind of come together and gain alignment on what those outcomes and metrics are across the business, and then how they're going to measure those outcomes. So
from your perspective, what are some of the biggest trends shaping the intersection of technology and customer experience right now?
So obviously the big one is artificial intelligence. You may know it as AI. It's a little buzzword that's out there, but what we're seeing is that and data are really kind of the big areas that everyone's focused. What's interesting is dealing with your data has never been like the sexy thing, and it's always been something that needed to happen, but now more than ever with AI and with customer experience, like getting your data clean, getting your knowledge base into one area, that's a big piece, and then leveraging that knowledge for AI. The other conversation we're having at the forum a lot of is sort of workforce, future-proofing your workforce, because if you think about it, with the introduction of AI into like a customer support, for example, the idea is, and where it's mostly living, is to enable and to take off those transactional kind of mundane tasks. So what that does is it changes the demographic of a typical agent. And once you take all those off, sort of your agents now versus the type of individual you might be looking for in the future, once you've deployed AI, is a much more complex, critical thinking, problem solving, where the only time they're talking to customers is when it's none of those things. How do you staff for now? How do you staff for the future? And kind of where does that path start? And that's happening across kind of the whole organization, is from a workplace and work staffing perspective. What do we do?
So AI and then agents, that's a big thing, especially with your concentration or maybe expertise in contact center. What are some of the more interesting applications of these AI agents? Something you've maybe implemented recently, and how has it helped the business?
Yeah, great question. So they're getting really the bots, like the chat bots, are still hit or miss because they're
Yeah.
dependent on a knowledge base, right? But a lot of the voice AI agents, like a Poly AI, they are so human and realistic that and they're able to take action. So what really makes it really powerful is the ability to solve a complete, customer inquiry, from a data dip all the way through to sending an Uber out for someone. And they're very realistic, so that's pretty exciting. Just because we all kind of went through the really bad bot experience, I
Yeah.
feel like. But we're seeing it, for example, for like a restaurant chain, like 60% of their reservations were taken off of and contained. Another area is in finance and banking. Historically, the core has been really hard to integrate with. So we're helping clients like credit unions and banks integrate AI, and really take a lot of those transactions off of agents, and allow people that self-service that historically didn't exist, but AI has sort of opened that up.
Yeah, I think it's great that Pontem has the keys to the AI agents that actually work. You mentioned Poly AI and Regal.
Yep, and Regal AI. Yep.
Because funny story, here at Profound, we were testing AI agents recently, and we didn't have Pontem with us, and we had one that was doing business development, and it was calling, and it was doing a really good job, except for when the call got transferred and the music came on, and I forget the song. My business partner, our CTO, said, the song that was playing on the hold music, a different song, but it was like, "Hello, is it me you're looking for?" And then the AI started talking to the hold music. So
Oh my
he had to
God.
go in and edit the prompt, be like, when it's music and someone's saying
Don't engage.
don't engage. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but that's
The things you don't think of.
the things you don't think of. So it's great to know that's actually driving.
Oh yeah.
Driving the business.
Yeah.
So what are these? Are there any other technologies or platforms? AI is the big thing, but any other emergent big data ones specifically that you're seeing are helping drive customers?
I am really excited about some of the AI-based knowledge, because data is so important, and so is knowledge. And what we've dealt with, at least for so long in customer experience, is knowledge lives here, institutional knowledge, and it's also really hard to keep it up. So there are a lot of really cool trends around leveraging AI to have knowledge stay up to date, so employees' institutional knowledge can kind of change real time. So that's another one I would say. And there's also some really neat stuff happening with like fraud detection, which obviously with the introduction of AI and deepfakes has increased fraud. But then, so it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing, but it's been cool to see how fraud has been leveraging technology to kind of combat that.
It's a real thing, and people are very sensitive to it. In fact, I was in Kentucky last week on a business trip, and I left my phone in the Uber. So I called into Profound here to try to get some help, and they thought I was like an AI scammer.
That's good. That means that they're taking their trainings.
I almost didn't get any help, but yeah, it's true. So
you need like a only I know this about myself. If I say it right, it's like the secret passcode or something.
Yeah, after I got off the phone, I was like, I should have said this so that they knew.
And that it was me, right? Exactly. Yeah. That's so funny.
What are some of the conversations happening in the Mid-Atlantic CX Forum that are helping CX leaders better understand how they can enable themselves with AI?
Great question. One of the biggest things is helping. They're talking a lot about how to get the institutional knowledge required out of their teams and how to mitigate fear. There's a lot of fear around AI. And so CX leaders can benefit from kind of helping drive that change, because AI will benefit that CX. So that's kind of the first thing, is they are responsible for, between the IT leaders and CX leaders, figuring out how to make employees feel comfortable enough to share the things they do that are what they consider like, this is what makes me indispensable, so that it can be automated. Right. But they need, so we do a lot of honestly talking about change resistance and turning it into change resilience. But from a tech perspective, one of the biggest things CX leaders can benefit from is knowing there are technologies that can come in, be overlaid, and allow you to have more of an intelligent sort of roadmap around what to automate, because there's a lot of guessing still happening with legacy contact center CX technology. Like, we think we get a lot of calls about this, but they don't really know. And then they'll start an evaluation or start to look at different vendors. And there's a lot of opportunity to sort of overlay and leverage tech to get a much more informed version so that you get it right the first time, beyond just sort of what you feel. You can validate that with the data.
What's the biggest opportunity right now for your ideal customer where someone might be sitting there not aware of Pontem, but if only they knew what you could do?
For businesses that have critical decisions to make around the best path forward to meet their revenue goals that can or cannot rely on technology, that is where we can come in and help them have confidence in their decision around, do we need to do anything? Can we do it with what we already have today? And if we do, how do we do it so that we're successful and we're in lockstep with the business and IT? That's where we can come in. And I have not come across a business that has not had that challenge, especially with AI and looking into kind of all the changes as 2026 comes around.
I'm hearing that Pontem must be very good at solving for ROI when it comes to technology for the customers.
100%. Yeah, 100% of our customers have hit their budgetary timeline and adoption goals.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you.
So Pontem's part of the Profound Authorized Agent Network, something we're really proud of here. What made you decide to partner with Profound Technologies, and how has that collaboration supported your business?
Great question. We are also very proud of being part of that network. We have had such success in leveraging Profound for our clients. I really think it comes down to our shared philosophy of experience and customer first, being willing to challenge and make sure that it's the right approach for them is really something that we've found and benefited from that. We've brought in Profound to several clients and they've been happy every time. So we trust Profound and we're really grateful because we're very particular about who we introduce our clients to.
That's great. Yeah, we're delighted to be associated with you. I was at a recent event and we had a couple of clients there that were brought to us by you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So what advice would you give to other IT professionals looking about expanding into AV and collaboration technologies?
That's a great question. I would tell them to call Profound. No, but really, I would say that it's worth checking out and coming by and seeing your experience center. For this type of technology, it really is so important to be able to see it, touch it, feel it. And it's incredible how you have it set up. They can try out the different platforms, different interfaces, and it really kind of gives an real life view of how easily it truly does work.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And for everyone listening, your Experience Center is available for live, in-person, and remote demos of every meeting room, platform, and technology. So if you're coming from a Teams perspective, Zoom, Google Meet, whatever you can think of, if it's important to see it on Windows 11 or Android, it's all here at our Experience Center. So what is next for Pontem Tech Partners and also the CX Forum? You have a lot going on. Any exciting initiatives or goals that are on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. We are very fortunate. We're raising growth capital for Pontem right now. I guess that's what happens when you have great references and a community of trusted prospects. So we are scaling through AI. So we're raising growth capital, hiring quite a large team, and planning to scale through AI-driven process. Adding some in-house engineering and managed services are what we're kind of looking at in 2026. And then for the forum, because, why have one company when you can have two? But for the forum, we're really looking at expanding across the East Coast, kind of solidifying our virtual membership. We have an online and community engagement platform, which has been really exciting for members to connect asynchronously, get resources, ask one another questions without worrying about the LinkedIn sales hounds coming into their inbox. And then we're also launching our CX Innovation Awards, which we're excited about.
Oh, that's great. So if you could offer any key takeaways for the business leaders that are connecting on this video today about technology for CX, what would you suggest?
I would say that technology isn't really what creates great experiences. It's the alignment that does. And that as a CX leader, if you can focus on how to create alignment between the business and the technology, that's where really you're going to find success.
Katie, this has been such an insightful conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate how you and your team go beyond strategy to stay engaged through execution. That's what truly drives transformation. To our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Pontem Tech Partners, visit pontemtech.net. And be sure to follow Katie Scott and the Mid-Atlantic CX Forum on LinkedIn to follow the conversation about where CX and IT meet. And if you're an IT provider looking to expand your offerings with best-in-class collaboration and AV solutions, visit profound-tech.net to learn more about becoming a Profound authorized agent. Thanks for tuning in to a Profound Sit Down. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep creating remarkable experiences. Thank you.